Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. today. We have Councillor Stakilo and Councillor Bellemare online for today's meeting. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 2 land, traditional territory of Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe Cree, Assiniboine, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and homeland of the Métis Nation. We affirm our commitment to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation. Moved by Deputy Mayor Laughlin and seconded by Councillor Ray. Be it resolved that Council accepts the regular Council meeting agenda as presented for today. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. And moved by Councillor Daly and seconded by Deputy Mayor Laughlin, be it resolved that Council waives the reading and accepts and approves as circulated the minutes of the following meeting, and that's the meeting, our regular Council meeting of April 15th, 2024. Any questions or comments about those minutes? Call for the question then. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Whereas the Municipal Act, Section 160, bracket 2, states each member of the council must attend the public hearing unless the member is excused by the other members from attending the hearing, is unable to attend owing to illness, or is required under the Municipal Council Conflict of Interest Act to withdraw from the hearing. Be it resolved that council excuses the following council members from the April 29th public hearing, and that would be Councillor Sobering. All other council members are either present or present online. So call for the question. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. So do we get to the... So,
Yeah,
motion moved by Deputy Mayor Laughlin, seconded by Councillor Daly. Be it resolved that council now adjourns to hear the public hearing as scheduled. All in favor? Council will now commence to hear representations from any person who wishes to make a presentation for the scheduled public hearing under the Planning Act. Anyone who is not yet registered but wishes to make a presentation for the hearing, state your name. There's no one in the room to do that, so there is nobody registered for that. So the Planning Act public hearing, we will now proceed with the public hearing for bylaw 01/2024, being a bylaw of the City of Dauphin, amending bylaw 05/2019 to close a public walkway and authorize the sale of land. Does the city manager need to say anything about what we're doing?
Yeah, sure. So this is a closure of a walkway that actually went through way back in 2019, or between 2019 and now. When it came to the point of registering the closure with land titles, there was some wording in the bylaw that needed to be changed. So the public hearing is not to determine necessarily if it's to close or not. It's actually regarding the amendment, and our deputy city manager can maybe speak a little bit to what that amendment looks like.
Sure. So the property registry determined that there were seven word discrepancy basically between the status of title and the bylaw. So the bylaw needed to be changed. Bylaw 05/2019, and in point 2 says no Crown Lands Act reservation is intended, and that needs to be replaced with, quote, subject to the reservations and provisos contained in the grant from the Crown. So that's the nature of the public hearing today.
Okay.
There's nobody here,
There's no one here, and there's no one else to speak to it.
but we do know that the applicant is in.
Okay, so the applicant, though, is in favor. So I would like to declare that, unless there's any questions from council, any questions or comments from council? Seeing none. So I would say that the public hearing is now completed. And so moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Daly. we need to deliberate or make a decision. I'm assuming that this is a pretty easy call that will decide. All those in favor? And voting second and third readings of the bylaw. Okay. So any questions or comments about what was presented or discussed? No? Call for the question then. All those in favor? And moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lachlan, be resolved that council now reconvenes to the regular council meeting. And I'll assume that everyone's in favor of that. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Ray, be it resolved that the public hearing for bylaw 01-2024, being a bylaw of the City of Dauphin, amending bylaw 05-2019 to close a public walkway and authorize the sale of land, be now concluded. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate. Thank you. Motion is carried. The next, we'll move to the consent agenda. We've got a number of action items related to the consent agenda today. We have a number of proclamations, and we'll just, I'll let councillors read these proclamations in order. So the first one is the proclamation for Emergency Preparedness Week.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Whereas natural disasters may be beyond our control, but there are ways to reduce the risk and the impact of whatever emergency we might face. And whereas Emergency Preparedness Week encourages Canadians to take concrete actions to be better prepared to protect themselves and their families during emergencies. And whereas this special week is a national effort led by Public Safety Canada, provincial and territorial emergency management organization, Indigenous organizations, non-governmental organizations, and private sector. And whereas by taking a few simple steps, you can become better prepared to face a range of emergencies anytime, anywhere, and it is important to know the risks. Although the consequences of disasters can be similar, knowing the risks specific to our community and our region can help you better prepare. Make a plan. It will help you and your family know what to do. Get an emergency kit. During an emergency, we will all need some basic supplies as we may need to get by without power or tap water, so be prepared to be self-sufficient for at least 72 hours in an emergency. And whereas more resources to help you and your family prepare for all types of emergencies can be found by visiting www.getprepared.ca. That's GETPREPARED.ca. And whereas experience has shown that individual preparedness goes a long way to help people cope better, both during and after a major disaster. And whereas this week, the City of Dauphin encourages all residents to take concrete actions to be better prepared. Now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim May 5th to May 11th, 2024 as Emergency Preparedness Week.
Thank you, Councillor Daly. Our next proclamation is Communities in Bloom Week, and that's Deputy Mayor Lachlan.
Thank you very much. Whereas in Canada, we are fortunate to have a multitude of communities committed to fostering civic pride, environmental responsibility, and beautification. And whereas communities are committed to ensuring sustainable development for future generations. And whereas participation in Communities in Bloom builds communities, strengthens volunteer and community development, enhances social interaction, and creates community pride. And whereas the benefits provided by Communities in Bloom may boost the economy, create sustainability, enhance property values, attract new business, and increase tourism. And whereas our parks, open spaces, green spaces, and trails ensure sustainability, provide space to enjoy nature, help maintain clean air and water, and preserve plant and animal wildlife. And whereas all community levels, municipal, residential, commercial, and institutional, work together to ensure the voluntary sector and private enterprise throughout the country participate in the planning, development, and operation of recreation and parks programs, services, and facilities. And whereas Communities in Bloom will annually recognize and celebrate the benefits derived from Communities in Bloom and the countless volunteers and individuals who make our communities great places to live. And now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim the week of May 6th, 2024 as Communities in Bloom Week.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lachlan. The next is from Councillor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas Safety and Health Week is an annual initiative led by the Canadian Society of Safety Engineering, together with the Canadian Centre for Occupational Health and Safety, Employment and Social Development Canada, and Threads of Life, and in association with the American Society of Safety Professionals. And whereas the goal of Safety and Health Week is to focus employers, employees, partners, and the general public on the importance of preventing injury and illness in the workplace, at home, and in the community. And whereas Safety and Health Week also strives to raise awareness of the role and contribution of safety and health professionals. Now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim May 6th to 11th, 2024 as Workplace Safety and Health Week.
Thank you, Councillor Ray. And now from our student councillor, we'll have the final proclamation.
Thank you. Whereas Canadian Mental Health Association, CMHA, Mental Health Week promotes mental health awareness through education campaigns, activities, and events, and offers practical ways to maintain and improve mental health and support recovery from mental health problems and illness. Whereas people are faced with worrying levels of stress, anxiety, and loneliness heightened by social inequality, the affordability crisis, and ongoing climate concerns. Whereas this year's CMHA campaign is the Healing Through Compassion, a call to be kind and increase awareness and understanding of mental health, which will promote the use of mental health services and supports and ensure Canadians with mental health problems and illnesses are afforded the opportunity to recover. And whereas the Canadian Mental Health Association actively supports and encourages good mental health in all aspects of our lives, during CMHA Mental Health Week, and throughout the year, now for there, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim May 6th to the 12th, 2024 as CMHA Mental Health Week.
Thank you very much. Moving right along to the outstanding receivable accounts, be resolved that following accounts be added to taxes. We have two accounts, roll 005840 in the amount of $106.39 for a water turn off and on, and roll number 011100 $712.37 for a water meter, and the total of $818.76, and that's recommended by the Director of Finance and our tax clerk. There were several items, there were filing items presented under the consent agenda. Manitoba Emergency Measures, their quarterly newsletter of April, and Manitoba Municipal and Northern Relations, the date for the 2025 Board of Revision, and those are recommended by myself and the City Manager. Moved by Councillor Daly and seconded by Councillor Stakilo, be it resolved that all items listed in red under item 5, the consent agenda, be approved and form part of these minutes. All those in favor, please indicate. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, carried. I'd like to welcome Councillor Sobring joining us online for today's meeting. So we have full attendance for now. Moving along then, moved by Deputy Mayor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be resolved that the finance accounts, having been examined by council, be hereby authorized and approved as follows. We had 33 checks in the most recent run for a total of $1,510,217.33. There were no voided checks in the range, there were no voided checks in the past range, and there were no electronic payments in this current report. Any questions or comments regarding this? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lachlan. Be resolved that Council accepts as information minutes from the following committees: Communities in Bloom, their regular committee meeting of March the 21st. The Intermountain Watershed District, their regular committee meeting of March the 21st. And Dauphin Rec Services, their regular board meeting of April 3rd. Questions or comments from any members of council that are on any of these committees to bring to the attention of council? Seeing none, call for the question then. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Stakilo, seconded by Councillor Daly. Whereas Provincial Trunk Highway, PTH 5A, serves as the primary access into Dauphin from the south and has seen expanded commercial development along the route, which has brought increased traffic volumes and the risk of higher collision rates, be it resolved that Council accepts as information a Manitoba Government News release dated April 17th announcing a $3.8 million investment in the city for drainage work associated with the reconstruction of 1.7 kilometers of PTH 5A, which is Main Street South, between Whitmore Avenue and Triangle Road, noting that in addition to drainage, the entire project includes surface reconstruction, the creation of a divided highway, service roads, sidewalks, and a signalized intersection, including accommodation for pedestrian crossing at the Dauphin Marketplace Mall. All those in favor, please indicate. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, and motion is carried. And I have to read the whole thing? Okay, here we go. I should take a drink of water. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Deputy Mayor Laughlin. Whereas at their regular meeting of June 13th, 2022, Council approved a variance application 12.05.221600/VO 2201 for owner and applicant Credence Capital Inc., care of John Uri, for Block 3, Lot 13 and 14, Plan 420, which is 218 Buchanan Avenue, to vary the interior side yard setback from 3.5 meters to 2.44 meters, the corner side yard setback from 4.5 meters to 2.26 meters, and the rear yard setback from 7.5 meters to 1.5 meters, to allow for the construction of two single-story, 2,158 square foot triplex dwellings in a residential multifamily zone. And whereas at the regular meeting of June 12th, Council approved variance application 1205-221-600 VO 2301-01 to revise the interior side yard setback for the above noted construction from 2.44 meters to 2.13 meters. And whereas the variance order will expire on June 12th, as per the condition that approval shall expire if not acted upon with 12 months of the date of making. And whereas the Planning Act 101(1) specifies that council may extend this deadline for a variance order for additional period not longer than 12 months if a request is received before the expiration. Be it resolved that council accepts as information correspondence dated April 9th from John Uri, representing Credence Capital, requesting a 12-month extension on the variance order, and a memo dated April 11th from the building inspector recommending that, as per the Planning Act, a 12-month extension be approved with the following conditions: that the applicant obtains a minor variance approval to reduce the site area from a required minimum of 1,116 meters squared to an existing 1,051.3 meters squared to comply with the bulk requirements of the City of Dauphin zoning bylaw 04/2015. The applicant obtains a minor variance approval to reduce the number of parking stalls for a multifamily zone from a required minimum of 10 stalls to 9 to comply with the bulk requirements of the City of Dauphin zoning bylaw 04/2015. That the applicant obtains a separate demolition permit to accommodate the new construction development. That the applicant approves a building permit from the City of Dauphin for the construction of the proposed two triplex dwellings, including submission of drawings and documents as required by the city. That the applicant will submit an up-to-date legal land surveyor staking certificate, and that the new triplex dwelling units will require new separation service branch connections from the street lines to the building. The owner will be responsible for the cost of these services. The owner is also responsible for the cost of any new approach or relocation of existing approach, including maintenance, and the lot surface drainage cannot adversely affect the adjacent property. It is recommended that it be done in consultation in cooperation with the adjacent property owners. Further be resolved then that council agrees with the building inspector's recommendation and approves a 12-month extension for this variance for the property at 218 Buchanan, thereby establishing a new deadline of June 12th, 2025. Questions or comments from anyone on that one? No, you don't want to extend this anymore? Come on, I'm sorry. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none? Motion is carried. Thanks very much, Charlotte, for that. Anytime? Yep. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lachlan. Whereas Dauphin Rec Services, as part of their capital expenditure request for the city for 2024, identified that they require a new lawnmower, be it resolved that council accepts as information correspondence from Ryan Vanderhayden, the general manager at DRS, requesting approval to purchase a lawnmower at the cost of $14,000 plus taxes, which reflects a discount of $5,000 if the sale is transacted by April 30th, 2024, and a memo dated April 25 from the city manager recommended this purchase be approved. Further be resolved that council agrees with the manager's recommendation and approves the purchase of the requested mower at a cost of $14,000 plus taxes, with the funds to be drawn from the Recreation Reserve. Questions or comments regarding this request? Seeing none, call for the question then. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that bylaw 012024, being a bylaw of the City of Dauphin, amending bylaw 052019 to close a public walkway and authorize the sale of the lands, be now read a second time. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. And be it resolved that bylaw 012024, being a bylaw of the City of Dauphin, amending bylaw 052019 to close a public walkway and authorize the sale of land, be now read a third time and signed and sealed by the mayor and the city manager. And this is a recorded vote, so I'll call Councillor Sobering in favor, yes or no? Oh, I'm sorry, because you missed the first part of the public hearing, Councillor Sobering, we don't count you on the recorded vote. But that shouldn't be a problem. Councillor Stakilo, in favor, yes. Deputy Mayor Lachlan, yep. Councillor Bellemare,
Yes.
yes. Councillor Ray, thumbs up. Councillor Daly, attaboy, and I'm in favor. Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Moved by Councillor Stakilo and seconded by Councillor Ray. Be resolved that council accepts as information the following community event, the Intermountain Watershed District Water Festival of June 5th and 6th, 2026. Regarding that request, is anybody going to be attending or has made themselves available? They ask every year, council. I know, and I might have to spread that around. I'm not available on those days, but we'll talk about that later. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be resolved that council accepts as information the council's reports for the regular meeting of April the 29th. And since we have 3 people staring at us from a big screen up high, we'll start with them today. And since Councillor Bellemare is on my left and has the biggest head on the screen, she will go first. Councillor Bellemare. And you
Okay,
need
I
to
was just
start
saying, I love the selection criteria. Okay, for council work on April 22nd and 23rd, I attended the budget meetings. That's the utility and the general budgets, where we reviewed all the material put together by the different departments outlining revenue and expenditures for 2024. And a note to the public that our public hearing is coming up on Monday, May 6th at 5 p.m. So mark that in your calendar and come join us. There's good information here. On the 22nd, I also chaired the meeting of the Parkland Regional Library Board, where we discussed several items, including a code of conduct to keep both library users and staff safe. Last week, we hired a new groundskeeper at the Riverside Cemetery who will begin working in mid-May, and I attended a community safety and well-being meeting online earlier today. And in terms of our community, the sweetest, most competitive event is happening again later this week, and that's the Tim Hortons Smile Cookie Campaign. And Dauphin prides itself on selling like the most cookies in Canada. I think we were the second highest only last time. The cookie stakes are high, so they're looking for volunteers. And the project being supported this year is the Smile Zone project at the Dauphin Regional Hospital. And just a shout out to all the staff that was involved in getting that budget document together that we reviewed. A lot of work goes into that. Lots of discussion and decisions are made long before councillors see it and make final decisions on it. So I just wanted to say that your work is greatly appreciated, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Bellemare. Councillor Stakilo.
Great, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I guess I have the second biggest head on the screen, so we'll go with that. For myself, April 15th, in attendance for the regular council meeting, and as Councillor Bellemare mentioned, the budget deliberation meetings on the 22nd, excuse me, and the 23rd. I was in attendance for both of those too. I would like to echo what Councillor Bellemare said in terms of all the preparation and work that goes into getting ready for those meetings. It starts actually the year previous when we go through everything in December usually of the previous year, and everything sort of filters down through into the meetings that we have in April and May. And I just want to commend staff for always being really approachable for anything that councillors are inquiring about or wanting to make a priority. It's always very reassuring to know that we have that support and that avenue to utilize to bring any issues or concerns forward, and they're always more than willing to accommodate and provide that feedback and information. So just wanted to say thanks to all the staff as well. And with that ends my report. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Stakilo. Councillor Sobring with the smallest head on the screen, you're next.
I'm usually the one that gets accused of having a big head, so thank you for the compliment. I attended the April 15th regular council meeting, again, the April 22 and 23rd budget deliberation meetings. It feels like that's not a lot of activity since the last report, but I know it was a heavy duty couple nights of discussion and planning and decision making. And yeah, again, I usually don't do this, but I'm going to just say it as well. The staff really puts in a ton of work. We're very fortunate to have such a good team that's prepared and organized and puts so much thought and energy into it. They're not just mailing it in, but you can tell they really desire the best outcome. And it's a pleasure to work with such a talented group. And that's it. That ends my report.
Thank you, Councillor Stakilo. Deputy Mayor Laughlin, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For me, April 15th, had that regular council meeting at City Hall. The next day on the 16th, I attended the State of the District at the Watson Arts Center put on by the Parkland Chamber. Pretty well-attended event. 18th of April, two meetings that day. First, I had the Communities in Bloom regular meeting, and that was followed by an airport board meeting just to approve the financials for 2024. A few days later, had a meeting at City Hall with Dan Mazer, our local member of parliament. That was on April 22nd. And then later in the day on the 22nd and the 23rd, of course, as all the other councillors have mentioned so far, budget deliberations, always a fun time and exciting thing to be a part of, that's for sure. April 26th, I attended the Manitoba Summer Games announcement. That was at the high school, DRCSS, of course, which they made the announcement where they are going to be redoing the track for the event in August, and it'll be rubberized, and it's very exciting for that. So going to be a great asset for our community in Mountain View School Division. And I really do look forward in training for all the marathons that I run on that track in the future. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Councillor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. April 15th, I attended the last regular council meeting. On the 16th, I attended the Parkland Chamber of Commerce State of the District luncheon held at the WAC. On the 17th, I attended the Community Safety Wellbeing Advisory Committee meeting held here at City Hall. On the 22nd, 23rd, I also took part in the city budget meetings, and I would also just like to reiterate what a great job our staff does, not only on the budget, but everything that they do throughout the year. April 24th, I participated in the CSWB Community Practice Zoom meeting. This morning, I was at Tim Hortons helping to prepare smile cookies. And this afternoon, I attended our Community Safety and Wellbeing team meeting with CCFSC, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. And Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 15th, I attended the regular council meeting. 16th, attended Parkland Chamber luncheon, as mentioned by Deputy Mayor. 17th, at a meeting with the Housing Foundation to, along with the mayor and city manager, to discuss with their group some of the issues with funding security for the building. We'll continue to work on that and assist them in any manner that we can. On the 18th of April, I met with Charlene Gulak, the new executive assistant to the Minister of Agriculture, just to catch up on a couple of projects as she's running like crazy to try to get into the game a little bit late, but she's doing a good job over there already. On the 21st, I attended the Kinsman Trade Show. It was a well-attended event. From what I saw, the parking lot was full, the buildings were full. So it was a great turnout, and lots of different vendors came out. I was disappointed the fudge guy lost his tub of fudge on the way over from Saskatchewan, so that was a bit tragic for myself. But anyway, on the 22nd, we had a meeting in the morning with Member of Parliament Dan Mazer. On the 22nd, again, P&P of the utility budget. And on the 23rd, P&P general budget. And again, like everybody else, well done, everybody. Extremely impressive. This morning I volunteered, this afternoon actually, I volunteered at Tim's to make a number of creepy smile cookies and tell somebody to help me out, figure out how to do it. Sponsored, of course, by Dauphin and District Community Foundation for the DRHC. Also, there's mention here, 2 visitors from Brandon attended City Hall last week to meet with Dauphin District Community Foundation and wanted to pass on to council and staff how impressed they were with the electronic kiosk in the building and the general welcoming atmosphere they felt while they were here. So I just thought that was a good, we often don't get compliments, and these are out-of-towners who really wanted this passed along. So that's it for my story.
Thank you. And just going to wrap up with a couple of comments from me. Just I too would just like to acknowledge the provincial government for their additional $375,000 contribution over and above the other contributions they made to capital for the summer games and the operations for the summer games. That this basically puts the track fundraising over the top, or at what they need to do that track. So we will have a fairly substantial improvement to the track and to the back end of the DRCSS with a bit of an activity pad, or an activity pad also being developed as part of that track reconfiguration. So post games, part of the legacy, in addition to a rubberized track, will be an outdoor basketball court that will be used for high school kids in particular, but for community use as well. I also want to acknowledge that last weekend we had over 60 people attend a 2-day final host tour for the summer games. So there was people here from Sport Manitoba, people here from all of the chef de missions from all the other regions, all the provincial sport organizations had representations in the community. And so again, they spent a couple nights in hotels, and they spent 2 days of meetings and liaison work with our local host society. And I just want to commend our 2 chairs, co-chairs, Carla Wolfenden and Clayton Swanton, for doing a pretty exceptional job of starting this thing up in 2017, shutting her down in 2019, pre-pandemic, opening it up again in 2021, putting it on pause because that also was delayed, and then to get their committee back up and running for 2024. So they've got a mix of older and experienced chairs that signed on for 2017 for the ride then, and a bunch of new people for 2024. So hats off to them. There's also a huge convention coming to town this week, May 1st and 2nd. CUPE Manitoba is holding their 60th annual convention in our community, so they selected Dauphin for it. So that's going to be a substantial event for our community, and a number of provincial MLAs and cabinet ministers and possibly the premier will be in town. So it looks like a lot of activity this week coming up. And just want to note finally that we had an economic development meeting today, and there's some really lively discussions about some of the things that are coming up. But one of the interesting discussions from a meeting last week is that economic development is going to be supporting a new trail counting app that will be put in use at Northgate Trails and part at the Edwards Creek Trail up in Riding Mountain National Park as part of the information that we've been able to gather from TransCanada Trails and our connections to them. So for a couple $100, we'll be able to do data collection on anybody who has a watch or a cell phone in their pocket. We'll be able to track them. And what was really interesting about this technology is the company can go back in time, in the sense that if we wanted to pay, and we're discussing that option right now, we don't know what the annual fee would be, but they can go back to last year, the year before, the year before that. So we're considering that when the trail was first opened in 2019, I think, that we can actually gather the data. And it's weird. It's AI is everywhere, and the technology is actually scary. But when they were talking about their ability to go back in time and give us just a gross number of visitors, we're kind of looking at that to just track growth and interest in the facility. So that was just kind of really neat. And then also there's another meeting tonight after our council meeting with economic development, and meeting with all of our trail or our boulders. And so we'll be meeting with Country Fest Ukrainian Festival, Selo Ukraina, and Northgate. We've had quarterly meetings now to try and bring all those groups together to have meaningful discussions about how they need to work together more and how the city can be involved with them. So that's coming up tonight as well. So lots of good stuff going on. So that ends it for me. And so I'd like to call the question then. All those in favor of the resolution to accept the council reports indicate. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. And then moved by Deputy Mayor Laughlin, seconded by Councillor Ray, be resolved that council meeting be adjourned at 5:40. All those in favor?